conversation is right online. You need to be a part of it, all right? Hashtag BusinessM at Metropole TVKE, the man we've been promising for 1 day ago. Guess what? He's right in the studio. The CEO Zenka Finance Kenya is right here with us. Some of the issues that we're looking at is not about mobile lending. We do know the conversation around that. We want to cross over the other side and see, therefore, if you are complaining about the way that mobile lenders operate in Kenya, what should be the next phase for mobile lenders in this economy? How should we integrate the mobile lenders among the SME culture in this country? Now, we do know the Central Bank of Kenya Governor, Dr. Patrick Njoroge, has come down hard on the mobile lenders in this country. And if you know, all right, Mr. Robert Masinde was also among some of the mobile lenders in this country who now have formed a union, all right, to professionalize the industry, all that space for fintech. Guess what? This morning we are talking about how to create a niche through SME lending in this country. The conversation begins right now. Mr. Masinde, welcome very much to Metropole TV. I watched you yesterday. It was a very good conversation.
Thank you.
It was a very good conversation. So I want to drive away from that a bit, therefore.
Yes.
And ask you, therefore, if we are complaining about the way mobile lenders are operating within the economy. There are talks about regulation. There are talks about now you operating under a banking act. Now we're waiting to see exactly what happens, therefore.
Yeah.
What is the next step, therefore? Now, we do know that SMEs are operating in this economy. And there's a long time now, since the corporate laws that have come into the country, there was a talk about how banks are shying away from helping SMEs grow in this country. Yes. Should the next phase be these mobile lenders also approaching this space now, even with the launch of the Stawi product? Should that be the next phase?
That's a good question. I think the reality is very likely that's not just the next phase,
yes,
but it's a phase that's already happening. So I think the outcome of the interest rate caps of 2016 was such that a lot of the players who were unable to access credit were largely the SMEs.
Yes.
Okay. And I would extend that to micro SMEs, because most of the loans given by mobile lenders are very small, you know, small amounts ranging all the way from 500 shillings to maybe 10,000 or 20,000. So those are not exactly SMEs, but micro SMEs.
But micro
SMEs, but which comprise a very large cross-section of our society.
Yes.
A lot of our population survives within that space. That's how they make a living. That's how they get by. So should this be the next step? It is already happening. Should we give it more attention and try to serve it better? Absolutely. Have there been hazards that have emerged? Yes. Hence they talk about regulation, hence they talk about professionalization.
Yes. All right. This is a question, therefore. If we do know that the micro lenders in this economy form the backbone of Kenya, right? When it comes to businesses and businesses integration in the economy, how do we therefore, as mobile lenders, start charting a way of proper integration? Because the story outside there is you don't care about where this money goes. In fact, you don't know what business I'm doing, and you don't know my margins. You know, the margins question is the big thing, because you are giving me a loan. If I'm selling boga somewhere, it's the same margin that I'm having with somebody who's selling coat somewhere in Mudurwa. How do we? Because the integration process is what we need now to understand. Should we say, yes, our role as micro lenders as well is to the SMEs in this country? So the margins question, how do we start charting a way of understanding we're giving this loan to a mama mboga somewhere? So this is the margin. That's the big question now.
Well, surprisingly, you will be surprised that we actually get very good data about our clients. There are surveys which have been done about what people use the money for.
Yes.
It's true that at the point when you're lending, in most cases, the person who wants the funding, may not have... Look, the whole idea behind digital lending was to take advantage of the efficiency that you can derive from technology to process loans faster, with less bureaucracy, with less red tape, waiting times, and that convenience. That's the only way you can reach most of the masses, most of the people actually in the micro SME space and SME as well. What they find difficult is going through the extensive paperwork, waiting times, the need for collateral, filling up a lot of business information. When they need the money, they need it quickly. It makes all the difference. So back to your question. However, we do then the way you can approach that sector more effectively is, number one, how do you target your advertising? Right?
Yes.
If you look at some of our players in the industry, well, there are those who have said outrightly, we are going after the SME segment, and therefore they'll target their marketing, whether it's on social media, whether it's in the areas. For instance, in the case of Zenka, if you went to Kangware now, you'll find our billboards there. They're not necessarily in upmarket areas.
In Lavington or...
Exactly.
Yes.
Who are we targeting there? The traders. There are a lot of people there who are trading, buying and selling goods in an informal way. So one is how you market. Two is then how you structure the product. Okay, is it really appealing to someone who is in business, or is it just appealing to someone who is out to use it for consumption?
Yes.
Consumption is also critical, because without that, I mean, when I say consumption, is about paying your bills, basic bills. If, for instance, you can't pay your power bill, you probably can't function even as a business person. Remember, most of these small micro SMEs, they are businesses, yes, but they fully depend on the person. Okay, the person has to be healthy, has to have transport to work. Exactly, he is a business. So when you say that you are giving him funding, let's say just to make it to make it to town or to his place of work, or to pay his health bill or his power bill, you're still helping the business. So when we do the surveys, eventually, we find that the highest number of users, up to 37%, say that they use the funds for small business.
Yes.
Even if they're employed. Almost every Kenyan, as you know, has a side hustle.
Yeah, side hustle as well.
So most of them take these loans to give a boost to their side businesses. So those three things: how you advertise, how you structure, and thereafter you can also know by doing your own surveys, because we get a lot of rich data within our database, both as Zenka and as an industry as a whole.
All right. So the next question that I really want to ask is this. The story, yes, is that we are lending to the SMEs in this country, and we would like to lend to the SMEs in this country, or we play a part to the way that micro businesses operate in this country. But then on the other side, you are facing now a lot of regulation, right? We need to see you as a bank. Yes. We need to see you operate within the laws that are in the Banking Act of the country. So when you look at how now the Central Bank of Kenya Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge is operating and the space that he wants to push you into, how do you see this affecting the niche that now you're getting, especially even for the guys in Kangware now, who rely on you for everyday trading and businesses?
I see the discussion that has been going on, even though it has been driven by most of the concerns which are arising from the developments in this industry. The discussion is healthy, and I think it's welcome. We are actually, as a Digital Lenders Association of Kenya, we are actually open to regulation. And part of the reason why we formed the association is because we want to engage as an industry body rather than engaging as individual entities. As
an individual entity.
Yes. We want to collect all the issues. We want to put them on the table. We want to discuss with all the stakeholders, those who have concerns. We want to hear them, and we want to see how we can address. Because at the end of the day, I think what we are clear about is that most people, including the regulators, the consumers, the digital lenders themselves, eventually we want the same thing. We want the industry to work for the benefit of the consumer, because without that consumer, we don't have a business either.
Yes.
Right? The consumer has to thrive. We are not interested in seeing a consumer being over-indebted and unable to pay.
Yes.
Because who loses? It's us, the lender, who are putting out our capital to extend the lending, right? So we are very interested that the consumer is well protected, that the things that we want to enforce, even as we discuss the possibilities of regulation, basic practices like when we talk about consumer protection, we mean the consumer needs to be clear about what they're entering into when they're taking up these digital loans.
Yes.
Starting with the pricing, it has to be simple, transparent. You cannot hide pricing. The consumer has to know upfront what they are paying for the service. The terms and conditions have to be simple and understandable by anybody. They can't be too complicated and hidden in fine print.
Yes.
Data protection. We want the consumer's data. When we take your data in for lending, we want you to be sure that we're only using it to process your loan, and we will not then misuse it in other forms that you don't approve.
Yes.
Yeah. We want you to be sure that when you borrow from us, you have a way to get your queries resolved. We need to be reachable.
Yes.
Yes. So there's a whole raft of issues which can be solved in many ways, including regulation. And also we want that there should be a minimum entry requirement, mostly again to protect consumer, because if you don't have a minimum, say, capital or registration requirement for digital lenders, then it becomes a free-for-all.
It becomes a free-for-all, which therefore raises the question of why are you giving me the money if I don't have the money to give that back to you, isn't it?
Exactly, and also you can't, it becomes unsustainable. I'm talking more around from the digital lender side.
Yes.
It becomes unlikely that they'll sustain a credible operation, and that's why they then resort to some unhealthy or unethical practices that we have seen, going around.
All right, let's just come back to Zenka Finance, therefore.
Yeah.
We're really talking about proper integration. Are you looking probably in the next few years, what you said that you have a specific product in Zenka Finance, but we do know that this is specifically, number one, maybe for health, number two, maybe just for the trader, where it's now possible to collect, proper data. Like we know this person has been trading A, B, C, D, and we know that if we give them this money, then they have the ability, therefore, to pay it back instantly or within a given period, without therefore just saying, well, we're just integrating it into that section. Is that a specific innovation, a product innovated for a specific section of people? Yes.
So let me put it this way. You know that to a certain extent, I'll not divulge all the product strategy on the show. Yes. But I think I would say we have started off with a very basic product where we're just saying you want to get a loan if you qualify, and we have ways of running an algorithm around your data to determine whether you qualify and how much you qualify for and for how long.
Yes.
So we've started that at a very basic level. Going forward, we get to know more about the people who we have qualified in our database as they borrow and lend.
Yes.
We will ask them, what they prefer, what kind of funding works for them. We continue doing these surveys and data mining over time, progressively. And as we do that, that feeds then into our product design and our product rollout. But just for you to know, one of the things we are clear about is that we started off at low amounts for short tenors, but we are already progressing to a situation where we are growing the amounts that we are giving out. So obviously then it appeals more to the SME types.
Yes.
And we're extending the tenors to, as you know, generally most digital lenders, including us, have been doing 30-day loans, but we are extending now to extend beyond a year.
Yes.
And allow them to pay on installments. So that already starts appealing to a different segment and for different needs that some of our client base will need. Right. So specific products will definitely divulge at the right time.
And you think that would now make you have a proper face in the Kenyan economy, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, now, the last thing that I want to ask you this morning, sir, is why now are you facing a lot of a backlash from the government?
Yeah.
Is Kenya trying to catch up? Did we get inside here without having a proper framework of how we're going to look in the next 10, 20 years down the line?
Yes.
And do you feel that this should have been thought a long time ago?
Well, I think in a sense the backlash is also a reaction to how quickly the sector has grown in the last few years. But you'll also agree with me that, across the world, not just in Kenya, regulation tends to follow innovation. Innovation doesn't happen after regulation. You don't regulate and then say, now go and innovate. It won't happen. Look at the story of M-Pesa. And you can bring up many other examples. So the innovation that grew in this market has grown phenomenally. It has grown large. It's touched on everybody. Almost everyone has an experience with a mobile loan, a mobile app. And therefore, obviously, it now becomes a matter of public interest. And there is no wonder the regulators and policymakers want to get involved. And we are saying, yes, the time is right, and that's why we are also coming together as an industry to create a forum and a channel through which we can engage all stakeholders.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence this morning.
Thank
Guess
you.
what? Once we do have Patrick Njoroge finally submitting what he needs your face to look like, we shall be calling you back again to talk about that as well.
Thank
I
you.
wish you success in fighting him. All right.
We are not fighting.
In working together with him, that is.
We
Isn't
work
it?
with him. We're not fighting.
All right. That has been the Zenka CEO, and on another position also a digital lender in this country. All right, more talks on fintech and SMEs to follow next week. Guess what? We take a short break. Stephanie Wanswa, the lady on the big screen, is coming next to look at your votes and what you're talking about on social media. What questions have you asked him? We shall be responding instantly after this break.